My apologies, good folks. My battery ran out, so I am back with number 6, because remember we were going through 1 through 6 in the calculator inactive today. And I apologize about my test being all written up, but we will get right to it. So a company models its net income in thousands of dollars with the function f of x is equal to 9x squared minus 54x minus 144, where x is the number of units of its product sold. How many units of its product does the company need to sell in order for the net income to equal 0? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is on our scratch paper, because of course we need our scratch paper, is go ahead and write out the quadratic equation given to us. So we have 9x squared minus 54x minus 144 equals f of x. I know that with quadratics, f of x or y is always replaced with 0. Okay? So I'm going to be looking for the zeros, which happen to be the roots of this quadratic. Okay? So first things first, I'm going to look at all of these numbers and I'm going to determine what a GCF is for them. Okay, and I can do that a number of ways, but if you have paper and pencil, you can go ahead and do factor trees, okay? Or you can simply list out the factors until you find the largest one that you circle, okay? In this case, Ms. Herman knows that 9 is the GCF, okay? So I'm going to divide each of these terms by 9. I've pulled out my GCF, 9, and now I want to figure out what remains. So I'm going to divide 9x squared by 9. Well, that leaves me x squared. I have negative 54 divided by positive 9. Well, that leaves me negative 6. And I can't divide x by 9, so I simply bring it down. With my last term, I have 144 divided by 9. And I know that that's going to equal negative 16. Okay. I now have my GCF, which is one of the factors, and I have this trinomial. Well, what do we do when we have trinomials? Well, we automatically want to go ahead and use the diamond or X method, okay? So let's go ahead and set that up. I must always start by identifying what A, B, and C are of my trinomial. So the A value in this case, nothing is written, so I know that coefficient is 1. For B, I know that it's going to be the coefficient of 6, but it's also going to take on the sign that's in front of the term. So in this case, B is negative 6. Our C value, remember, it's the constant, but it's also the sign that's in front of it. So in this case, our C value is negative 16. Remembering that it's A times C at the top, I'm going to go 1 times negative 16. For our bottom, I know that it's going to be our B value, which is negative 6. On the sides, I'm going to look for 2 factors of negative 16 that add up to negative 6. Okay? And remember, I can list that out if I'd like to, and because it's short, I'm going to go ahead in case we're not sure how to do that. So for negative 16, I'm going to do a factor tree. I have negative 1 times 16. I have positive 1 times 16. I have 2 times negative 8. I have negative 2 times negative 8. And I have positive 4 times negative 4. Okay? Those are all the factors of negative 16. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is see what would occur if I added up my 2 factors, okay? So I'm going to go negative 1 plus 16. Well, that's going to be negative 15. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Negative 1 plus positive 16 is going to be positive 15. Well, does that equal negative 6? No, it doesn't. So away it goes. I have positive 1 times negative 16. Well, if I add those 2 up, what do I get? Well, that's negative 15. Does that equal negative 6? No. Make it go away. I have positive 2 and negative 8. So positive 2 plus negative 8. Well, is that going to equal negative 6? Well, yes, it is. So this is going to be what I place on my sides. So I have positive 2, and I have negative 8. Okay, from this point, I'm going to go ahead and do factor by grouping. Or because the a value is 1, I know that I could simply pull my two factors out and place them like so. My GCF times x minus 8, all I did was pull the factor down, times x plus 2. Okay. If that's not comfortable for you, you could absolutely do this instead. You could absolutely instead go x squared minus 8x plus 2x minus 16 and do factor by grouping. Either way is going to work, but Ms. Herman is going to go ahead and work this way. Okay. So here are my factors, right? And I know once I've found my factors, I'm going to go ahead and set those equal to 0. Okay. So I have 9 equals 0. Well, is that statement true? No, it's not. So that cannot be the answer I'm looking for. I have x minus 8 equals 0. Okay. I'm going to do inverse operations. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. X equals 8. Well, that's a positive number, so that can be a solution. Remember, we're talking about selling product. You can't have negative product, so we're only looking for positive values. Okay. My other factor, x plus 2, I'm going to set it equal to 0. Inverse operations. Okay. And I end up with x is equal to negative 2. Okay. Again, we're talking about selling product, and you can't have negative product, so I know that x minus 2 cannot be my answer. So in this case, our answer is going to be x equals 8.